I want to change this country spectacularly in 3 years. I declare this and I declare it publicly so that it is known. So I don't have 10 years. I don't have 5 years. I don't have 6 months to decide whether or not and go to court. No, I don't have that time. There are many programs that we are trying to develop on the trot. People, yourselves, need accommodation. And if I'm going to submit myself to a process that will take me 10 years to deliver accommodation to you, then I would have failed you, and failed you spectacularly. So what do we do?
In a bold and unforgettable public appearance, President Duma Boko stepped onto the stage wearing full Botswana military fatigues. Sharp, commanding, and unapologetically confident. The image was striking, instantly drawing comparisons to his revolutionary friend and ally, Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso. But this was more than just a fashion statement. It was a message. Botswana is under new command, fearless, visionary, and ready for action. Duma Boko has announced a new dawn for Botswana, one where drastic measures will replace the slow, bureaucratic processes that have long crippled development. He's rolling out an ambitious package of transformational projects, from constructing 100,000 homes to overhauling infrastructure and aggressively tackling corruption and so many others. All of it done the Duma Boko way, bold, efficient, and inspired by the revolutionary momentum ignited by his comrade, Captain Traoré. Yet in the midst of this strong stance, he remains open-hearted. Boko has made it clear he welcomes constructive criticism, ideas, and correction. He's ready to listen, to engage, and to be advised, not as a weakness, but as a show of leadership rooted in humility and vision. His message? Clear and uncompromising. Transform Botswana within 3 years. These words and his audacity to speak them have sent shockwaves through the West, shaking the very foundations of a global system that has long failed Africa. This is the speech everyone's talking about across the continent. Now let's dive into it and hear from President Duma Boko himself.
We need to ensure that there's transparency, there's openness, there's accountability in each and every process that we undertake. No doubt, that is not negotiable, and that there is no corruption. There are many programs that we are trying to develop on the trot. One of them is a housing program. Called Bonno Housing Scheme. The bold ambition of this program is to ensure home ownership. That no person in this country be without a decent house. And I've seen how many of our people retire into penury, into poverty. And there's a structural explanation for this. And I've said before, we have operated a low-wage economy across for a very long time, such that a person who earns 20,000 belongs in the top 1% of high-income earners in this country. 20,000. And so you can imagine, if you slide all the way down, what it means for the everyday experience of our people. This should be a source of grave concern for all of us especially for government. We need to be very concerned about this. And so when we complain, with good reason, we need to understand that we are dealing with a structural problem. And so we must face up to it and address it structurally. So this housing scheme is an attempt to place immovable property in the hands of citizens, as many of them as we possibly can. And the ambition is to build 100,000 of these houses in the next 3 years. I've said 3. The minister says he wants to do it in 2 years. And so this program is being rolled out in every constituency. The minimum is 1,000 houses. And so wherever you come from, you are entitled, if you have a piece of land that you've not been able to develop because of the challenges that we all face, you now can, for a very reasonable amount per month, at least put up some decent shelter. The idea is to ensure our citizens have decent accommodation. But we'll also engage in other programs that seek to deliberately transfer wealth, claw it back from where it is, and place it in the hands of the most ordinary of our citizens. It is an obligation. Government has to do this if it is a government of the people, for them and by them. One of the things that we must also do, and it is a challenge not just to certain pockets, but to the whole of our society, is the ability to implement projects timeously, properly, and within budget. We have a serious challenge in this society. The tender process. I've spoken about it. I raise it again because I want society to be fully engaged on this matter. To build a house, the project of constructing a house is preceded by another project, the project of procurement. It's a project in and of itself, one that takes too long, one that at times becomes even more costly than the house that you want to build. The steps leading up to the actual construction of the house are themselves more dilatory and more costly, more expensive than the actual cost of building the house. This is a reality. We cannot sidestep it. We cannot run away from it. We must face up to it squarely and engage with it. And these processes that precede the actual construction of the house are rigged from end to end. There's a whole line of players who are entrenched, who have been there, and who master the craft of subverting propriety. So when a tender is issued, people purchase it, it is already known who this tender belongs to. Others are just accompanying at great cost to themselves. And it happens, and we know. I've dealt with it as a legal practitioner. I know it from end to end. I understand it fully. I've engaged. And often when it turns out that the process cannot be short-circuited, the tender is cancelled. And the process begins. So if you wanted to build this house in the next 6 months, it's going to take you 10 years fighting over whether to build this house or not. And in that interregnum, people are homeless, they are without shelter. What do we do? That's the question. When you acknowledge a failed system and you say, whatever we do, we must not do this one. He say he's trying to give tenders to his relatives. I want you to know my relatives. Just check, you'll know them. You need to know them so that you can track whether any one of my relatives has any tender. You need to ascertain, you need to be sure about these things. So that when these allegations are flung about, because one is seeking to move from an entrenched system of corruption to something that offers us some redemption, yet you are able to interrogate the allegations. And we must interrogate the allegations together. And so it's going to be very critical for us to find ways of moving away from this corrupt system and engaging in a different one that we can monitor and track, one that delivers results timeously, within budget, no corruption. And so we need to look for the best practices. And that we will do. If there's anything that I'm not afraid to do, it is to take decisive measures, even in the face of opposition and hostility. If it has to be done, it is good for the country, it is good for the people, I will do it. Make no mistake about it. I declare this and I declare it publicly so that it is known, so that when you gauge and you assess, you understand how I approach these matters. And with me, I'm always open to engagement. You disagree with me? Let's talk. You tell me, I think you're getting it wrong here. And I'll listen to you. And if I realize you are correct, I will say it to you, but not just to you. I'll also say it publicly. I've been advised by my friend or my colleague that this approach is wrong. I have reassessed. I have come to the conclusion that it is actually wrong, and we self-correct. That's how you operate. Because we're all frail and fallible. This is the concept of bofokoti. This is what it means. When you say that, it means you appreciate your own frailties, your own brokenness. You're broken and fissured yourself. And so, when others come and they approach you with a different perspective, you pay attention. And when you realize they are correct, you heed what they say. This is how you operate in a sane and sober environment. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what position you occupy. It's called humility. Just the ability to acknowledge that I may be wrong. Even when you think you've got it right 100%, you may actually be 100% wrong. And when somebody challenges you, if you think you are right and you believe in the correctness of your proposition, then it becomes an opportunity for you to persuade them, to win them over, or be won over to their side. And so I don't understand why sometimes there's conflict. When we engage on any issue, and you know, you assess. That's why you do recon. You collect data. You assess it critically. You examine it from different perspectives. And then you take a decision. But if you go out there, rumor and gossip gets people so excited. Even some who call themselves analysts. You look at what they're trying to say, there's no analysis. But you, by virtue of your profession, your training, are analysts because you deal only in facts. And you take decisions based on accurate information, not speculation, not rumor, not gossip, not pettiness, not frivolity, not absurdity. That's your job. And you need to demonstrate these capabilities because you have them. And so it's important for us to understand these issues. And I commit here and now, and going forward, to working with you to build the Botswana Defense Force so that it truly provides for security, accountability, and meritocracy. That your actions on and off duty reflect our respect for human rights and the rule of law. Let us build a force, a defense force, that is not only formidable in capability, but one that is also exemplary in character. And if we do this, we will ensure that the Botswana Defense Force remains a pillar of peace, security, and progress for generations to come. It is your work, your commitment that continues to reassure investors that Botswana is a safe destination for capital and innovation in this era of the knowledge economy. And I have said, it is the knowledge economy. If you don't want to say knowledge economy, you can say the experimental economy. An economy that must thrive on vigorous subjacent experimentation, innovation, creativity, the ability to defy the conventional and the commonplace, the ability to venture into the realm of the far removed, the speculative, and fashion solutions that may not have been known before. Because if we remain hostages of the current, then we will fail to enter the gates of the future. So I encourage you to be innovative, to embrace technology, to develop and deploy homegrown solutions to the challenges that you face. You should always think innovatively around technology and its utilization in relation to the defense systems, and refine your tactical acumen accordingly. Your innovative ideas could very easily give birth to a defense industry that will not only shorten your supply chain, but can also make you self-sufficient in certain supplies, as well as contribute to economic development. In this regard, I have directed that a feasibility study on setting up a defense industry be prioritized, and your technical input is essential. We need to develop this military industrial complex. We need to develop it quickly. And so we will have to amend the laws so that they facilitate this and conduce to its realization in the shortest possible time. It will present prospects and opportunities for many of you. That whatever we decide ultimately about the retirement age, retirement may only mean shifting from active duty into a corollary supportive industry. Who is best placed to be involved in that defense industry than yourselves? And so I'd urge you to attend to this matter with dispatch, because it presents a special opportunity for you. We are also in the process of finalizing the development of a comprehensive national security strategy for this country in order to enhance our security ecosystem. This strategy will provide us with a framework to respond to both external and internal threats, to fashion effective and sagacious, far-sighted security policies, and allocate resources in a manner that strengthens our national resilience. And it will also lead to role clarity in our security environment. And so I call upon all of you, as the custodians of our peace and stability, to provide your insights, your experience, and your wisdom in order to shape this strategy and ensure that it reflects our national values, responds to emerging security challenges, and that it upholds our sovereignty and our territorial integrity in this ever-changing security environment. I am aware that one of the most significant obstacles to developing an effective national security strategy is a lack of consensus, common ground and vision on our national security priorities. This has led to a national security strategy being reactive as opposed to being proactive. In some countries, and indeed maybe in ours as well, defense budgets have been drastically reduced to address other competing priorities and national requirements. But we must appreciate that if we go too far down that road, we stand to suffer immensely in times of need. And so we must position ourselves to be ever ready, properly resourced, having honed and refined our strategic capabilities. And so we must take our cue from what is happening in the region and understand that we must prepare ourselves well in advance, in anticipation, so that we do not wait for tragedy to befall us and then begin to prepare under pressure of calamity.
If you found this video useful and informative, please consider subscribing to our channel. Share your thoughts in the comments and let us know your perspective on this crucial issue. Spread this message to your friends and ask them what they think about this important topic. Thank you and have a wonderful day.